If you have used a wood stove or fireplace, then most likely you already know that getting a fire started can be a bit more difficult than just laying wood on the grate. It seems silly, but starting a wood fire can actually be tricky at times. I'm Melissa from Northline Express, and I've spent way too much time struggling to get a fire started in my wood stove because I ran out of fire starters. My most recent experience was just this fall. It's chilling out quite quickly here in Michigan, so I got home from work and thought that it'd be nice to stoke up the stove and give the heater a break. An easy enough task until I reached for my box of fire starters and it was empty. I gave it my very best attempt. I even tried out some DIY fire starter ideas that involve things I could find in my home, like dryer lint, toilet paper rolls, and good old-fashioned newspaper. They did all burn, but not nearly as long or as well as the fire starters that I'm used to. It's much more convenient to come home, add wood, light a couple fire starters, and watch the fire take off. I did eventually get that fire started, but it took much longer than it should have. I was very frustrated and I smelled like I'd been sitting by a bonfire. So that's why today I would like to give you a friendly reminder to stock up on fire starters before you end up in a similar situation. Today I've got some of our top-rated fire starters to introduce. I'll start with Rutland Safe Lite Fire Starters squares. If you ask my personal opinion, these are the best way to start your next fire, regardless of where that might be. These are the only fire starters that I use. Each square will burn 8 to 12 minutes, even when wet. Fire starter squares are made of recycled wood chips and wax, so there's no flare-up and they're not going to flavor your food if you tried to use them on a barbecue grill. Keep these in your home year-round and you can enjoy the ease of them for every fire starting occasion. They work great for fireplaces, wood stoves, coal stoves, campfires, fire pits, grills, and smokers. Next is Fatwood, which is often referred to as nature's best kindling wood. Fatwood comes from the stump of the tree, which is filled with flammable tree resin, making it 100% all natural. A little Fatwood also goes a long way. It only takes 2 sticks to start a roaring fire. Let's move on now to Super Cedar Fire Starters. Each Super Cedar Fire Starters is going to be a 4-inch by 1-inch disc made from cedar sawdust and highly refined wax. They leave no residues or toxic chemicals behind. You simply light the edge with a match and each starter is going to burn for 20 to 30 minutes with about a 12-inch flame. One starter can be broken apart to start multiple fires as well. Super Cedar Fire Starters even burn when they're soaked in water. Alright, so you've heard me make all these claims how these fire starters will even burn when they're wet, when I'm talking about the Rutland Safe Lite Fire Starters, the Fatwood, as well as the Super Cedar Fire Starters. Now I'm going to actually demonstrate because I was curious myself. I've never actually had to use one wet, so what I've got here today is a tub of water, and inside of it I've got a piece of Fatwood, a Super Cedar Fire Starter, and a Rutland Safe Lite Fire Starter square. What I'm going to do is a simple demonstration. These have all been soaking now for about 10 minutes, so all I'm really simply going to do is see how easy they are to light. I'm going to guess that they're not going to be the easiest to light as they would be if they're dry, but let's see if they even will light at all. First I've got the Fatwood, and you just saw me pull it out, so I'm going to go ahead and see if this will start up for us. It did take a little bit longer than a normal piece of Fatwood would have to light, but as you can see, this Fatwood did start up even though it had been soaking in water. So next, let me pull out my Rutland Safe Lite Fire Starter square, shake off some of the excess water here, and just like I did with the Fatwood, I'm going to repeat the process and see if this fire starter is still going to light.
She's not. Oh, wait. Nicole? Yeah. I didn't see that. Alicia, I know is leaving early. Summer is off, and then I didn't go up. I'm wondering if I should change it to Thursday. No, I have Linda on Thursday. I'll tell you that right now and let me know.
I did. I'm waiting for it to call me.
Oh,
That's her right there.
Oh, Ella's time. I didn't even realize it had already been lit. But again, just like the Fatwood fire starter, it did take longer to get the fire starter going, but as you can see, it is still burning even though it had been soaked in the water. Okay, so now I've got the Super Cedar Fire Starter. We've soaked this in water just like we did with the Fatwood as well as the Safe Lite Fire Starter, so let's give it a try and see if this fire starter holds up to what it claims, that it lights even when it's wet.
You're not doing your Christmas shopping already, are you? Okay. Okay, that's going to be 1073. the shipping. The total here in a moment. $66.69, Loretta. And it looks like we have a card ending in 96.
Oh, had it, but it went out on me.
And what's the expiration date? That's what I have. I'll go ahead and process that.
So as you can see, again, just like the Fatwood as well as the Safe Light Fire Starters, they all do stand up to their claim that they're going to light when wet, but of course, just like anything, it's going to light a little bit harder if it is wet, but just like they promised, they did light even when they were wet. So don't be caught struggling to get your fire started. Get a roaring fire started with your favorite fire starters. From Fatwood kindling to dynamite fire starters, you'll find everything you need to build a perfect fire right here at NorthlineExpress.com, home of the buy and try satisfaction guarantee.